There is a tavern in the town, Little Brown Jug. She'll be coming round the mountain.
Here I am in Ashford with a typical man of Kent. Or is he an Anglo-Nubian?
What apples you after?
£2 exactly, please. £2.
Come on, warm me up. Come and buy some fruit.
Could I have a pound of Smartens, please?
Of course you can, love. You come to the right man if you want something fruity. Get your local apple here, only the best. 25p a pound these and I shall be exact. There you go. I shall be unlucky in love. Thank you, darling.
Thank you.
Now, I have to say, this brings back so many memories. Every Saturday morning, every summer holiday, I used to be on my Uncle Reggie's stall in Shepherd's Bush Market doing exactly this. My family were fruit and veg merchants, originally from Kent, growing apples as well as selling them. I hated getting up in the morning, but I loved the buying and selling. For me, trade is the essence of what a town is all about. And thankfully, Ashford still has plenty of buying and selling. Therefore, in my mind, it's still a real town. You want some apples, love? Of course you can. Only the best on sale here.
He's out for here today, isn't he?
Oh, yeah.
I've got £5
Lovely.
in pounds.
All local produce, here you go. Why do you think people still come here? I mean, I'd have thought supermarkets and hypermarkets would have taken away all your business.
Well, it's cheaper, isn't it? Like, they come for the bargains.
And also for the boys, I wouldn't...
Yeah, they come because of me. No, they do like a bargain, don't they, people? You know, and you can't get that in supermarkets.
Do you get regular customers in?
Oh, yeah. Most of them are regulars, aren't they? Yeah, you know, 90%. We know most of them by their names and that.
Why do you come and buy your gear here?
Because it's better quality.
It's not the appeal of these two young lads, then?
Well, no, I know the father and the sons and the daughter.
You been coming here for long?
About 25 years.
25 years. Yeah. Has the bananas got any better in that time? Come and get your banana! You should shout a bit more, that's my tip.
Is it?
Yeah, you need to holler a bit.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Where you buy your fruit in Ashford is just a Cox's lob from the market, which makes this a market town. The most important arena for buying and selling livestock in the south, Ashford is a reminder that this part of Kent is not only the garden, but one of the great all-round providers of England. And even if you're not actually dealing that day, the market provides a focus for the farming community, says auctioneer John Martin.
There are always people there who are looking because it's an educational place for people coming in to learn what the value of the stock they've got is so that perhaps they can consider selling or buying over following week.
And I suppose it's easy to get kind of romantic about all these cute-eyed animals wandering in and about, but this is serious business, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's very serious because most farmers' production, certainly in the livestock field, is sold by auction. And they rely on us getting the correct price for their goods because it's their living.
I understand that this market's going to move from here. I mean, that seems terribly sad for the town to me.
Well, very sad, yes, because in many ways it's sad because the market's been in the centre of the town since the year dot, when it started in the High Street. In the 1850s, it moved to this present site where we are, next to the railway, when the railway was the important means of transport. And now we want to get away from the town centre, as Ashford has grown, to a site out of the town nearer the roads, where most stock now arrive and leave by road.
Traffic seems to determine everything in this town.
Well, it does, unfortunately, but nevertheless, we all have cars.
Not me, I only have a bike.
Well, then I probably won't see you taking away any livestock from the market with a trailer behind your bike.
I don't think they'd fit on. Thank you very much.
As a non-driver and committed cyclist, well, I'm appalled at the way the infernal combustion engine has been allowed to dominate and decimate this old town. But then, I suppose it was the route of a Roman road which first gave birth to Ashford. And at the heart of the rolling Kent countryside, there's still a surviving core of this appealing old place. Michael Boulding is a third-generation man of Kent.
What is this thing of Man and Kent? I don't really understand it.
The River Medway splits Kent roughly in half, and if you live the northern part, you're a Kentish man. And below the Medway, which is this end, you're a man of Kent.
Do you still like this place?
I've got a lot of feeling for Ashford, I always have done. The old town has got quite a lot of character to it. You know, the buildings in this part of the town especially is probably the prettiest part. Outside, it's a bit like a concrete jungle, like a lot of town.
But then you step just that way and they built that garrote. That ring road, I mean, hasn't that ruined it all?
Yeah, the ring road came sort of in the, I suppose, the early part of the 60s. I've always maintained it's the only ring road in the country that's built in the centre of a town. Most ring roads are on the perimeter of a town, but the powers to be at that time sort of put it through the middle and knocked down buildings of the same age as some of these in the churchyard.
Does it worry you that the market's going? I mean, that seems to me to be another shame, really.
Yeah, I think it will be sad. And it will take out the opportunity for people visiting the town with families and taking the children to see the animals.
Did you do that as a kid?
Yeah, we used to do this a lot. We used to go to the market most Tuesdays during the school holidays, summer holidays, and help the drovers take the animals off the lorries into the pens and watch them being auctioned and keep nodding our head hoping we could take home a sheep and this sort of nonsense. Because you never really know if they scratch their nose, twitch their ear or what they do.
Your links to this town go back quite a way, don't they? I mean, your family are a real Ashford family.
My grandfather was for a long time in charge of the sort of water in Ashford, the water superintendent, and he used to have to go out with the fire brigade to make sure they had enough water.
The famous fire brigade, the famous first fire brigade.
The fire brigade, that's right.
They were indeed the first. The oldest volunteer fire brigade in the country is the one from Ashford, Kent. And still today, there's a pronounced local pride taken in their firefighters. Go out on a shout with the boys from the brigade, though, and you soon see that the biggest disaster in Ashford's history was not a blaze, but a beltway. This circuitous road to nowhere makes motorised life in Ashford very convenient, providing that is, all you really want to do is drive round and round in ever-depressing circles. Still marooned inside the ring road, there are some great attractions. Where Florida has Disney World, Ashford has one of the more idiosyncratic institutions based in Ashford. Dog World is a kind of canine chronicle, a weekly bible of all things doggy, and the office is packed with pooches. Ferelith Summerfield is the boss.
We're dog people. That's the exciting thing about Dog World. We're not just journalists or people making money from running a dog paper. We really do love our hobby. We're all of us involved in some way or another. We are show, or we breed, or we judge, or we're interested in running shows or whatever.
So if someone comes to get a job here, do they have to be a dog lover to get one?
It helps. I don't really think they would apply unless they did like dogs.
So, I mean, do you interview the dogs as well as the applicants?
No, I can't say we do that. We're a little bit more professional than that. They have to know things about computers, about layout, about sub-editing and all that sort of thing.
I have to admit, Ferelith, I'm not a Dog World regular. I don't buy it every single week. I mean, what does it actually do? What does it consist of? Just pictures of dogs? Or?
News about what is happening in the world of dogs from over here and abroad. And news of the shows, and news of individual breeds. Yes, of course, there's lots of pictures, there's advertisements, everything you get in a normal newspaper, but in this case it's confined to dogs.
In the time that you've been here in Ashford, I mean, have you got to like the place? You're not an Ashfordian, are you, naturally?
Well, it was a lovely market town when we came down here. Well, now it's all sort of roads and leading nowhere.
Soon, though, Ashford will be a centre for going somewhere. France through the Channel Tunnel.
Ever since Ashford stopped being a humble local market town, they've been told that the boom is just around the corner. Up until now, though, all of those dawns have proved to be false. Now all hopes are pinned on Ashford International, the giant new station that's going to open here in 1995 to be the gateway to Europe through the Channel Tunnel. The locals are definitely hoping, but up until now, very few can hear that boomer coming.
There's no doubt, though, that the new £80 million superstation will stand out in this essentially modest town. This bold plan was part of the Thatcher era. Its most famous resident has links with the Thatchers. He's Bill Deeds.
Ashford really has represented Never Never Land. All sorts of great ideas. The advertising round here is tremendous. Ashford was going to be a boom city. We were going to be the centre of southeast area expansion. At the moment, I believe, our level is such that the Europeans are actually subsidising us as a sort of distressed area. Well, that's nobody's fault. That's not the council's fault. That's partly due to the recession. But we've certainly had our dreams. And looking round Ashford now, you ask yourself which particular dream has been fulfilled.
Bill Deeds, one-time MP for the area, knows all about Ashford's aspirations. Now, as former editor of The Telegraph, he's also the local lord.
If you go around England, you will find most places have changed. What's accelerated change here was a decision taken back in the 1950s, I think, to bring London Overspill, then London County Council Overspill, from London to here. This accelerated the growth of the town, stimulated it rather artificially. And what we got was sufficient industry, a lot of new houses, big housing estates, but very few amenities. The theatre we used to have, of course, is gone. It's been swept away. The Corn Exchange, which I remember in a corner of Ashford, that's been swept away. The market has shrunk. It's nothing like the size that it was, the farming side of the market. And, of course, what characterises the inner part of the town is the Beltway, which, as far as I can see, has imprisoned the small remaining number of traders inside the Beltway, who are now very hard to approach without getting your car nicked by a traffic warden, and who I think must be slowly declining through sheer lack of custom.
Despite its many man-made problems, though, Ashford still lies in some sumptuously lovely countryside, and its ties to the soil colour its character. In North School, which largely caters to kids from those sprawling Overspill estates, there's a wonderful farm which provides a rare chance for town kids to immerse themselves in the ways of the land, get their hands good and gooey, and learn the many lessons that animals can teach. This strictly volunteer young farmers scheme is run by Nick Feisch.
This is a club, so these kids don't have to be here.
Don't have to be here.
But we are.
We never had a garden at my school. We certainly never had any animals. What do you think you're getting from this?
The fun of working with them.
Is it fun?
Yeah.
I mean, do you learn stuff as well?
Yeah, we learn how to look after them, hold them, and what they eat and things.
Well, I mean, but do you ever have to kill them or sell them or
Sell
any of those terrible
but we
things?
don't kill them.
No, we don't kill them, do we, Sarah? No,
No. I thought we might get lunch.
no, that's the thing we don't talk about.
Right. When you do sell them, I mean, is that sad when you kind of see them go?
Sometimes. It depends if you work with that animal and if you get attached to it or not.
I can't personally imagine becoming too attached to a Vietnamese pot-bellied pig.
Do you actually like the pig?
In some ways, yes, but not the food.
No, you don't like the food. How many mornings do you come in and do this?
Every morning.
Every morning?
Yeah, well, in school days.
Okay.
Some of the animals, though, are slightly cuter than others, and some of the kids more proprietorial.
What's this animal called?
Wallace.
Wallace?
Yeah.
And what is it?
Calf, a Dexter.
A Dexter? Is that the breed?
That's the smallest British pig we've got.
Is it?
Yeah.
And how old's this one?
6 months.
And the people that brought it around, they named it Wallace because of the, it's born on the anniversary of the Dam Busters raid.
Oh, Barnes Wallace?
Yeah.
How brilliant. So who looks after you? I mean, can anyone in the club?
Yeah, anyone could look after
We
it.
are the main owners, but we let people help us.
Ah, I'm very taken by Wallace. Do you notice a change in a kid? I mean, when a kid first joins the farming club, kind of, do they change over the period?
Tremendous change in the sense that very rarely do we shout at kids here. Not hopefully we don't shout at many of them. It disciplines itself in the sense that it's almost as though the animals regulate what goes on. Not me. My influence is...
So are you suggesting that we have pigs in every school then?
If you want my honest answer, yes. We've got a country full of cats and dogs and rabbits and things like that that aren't looked after necessarily all that well in some cases. And I think for youngsters to have the opportunity to be close to animals and to learn to look after them properly, you know, to learn to know what they need, food, water, grooming, all the rest of it. Hopefully later in life, they're not going to be farmers, but they may have contact with animals and they'll have their own kids.
Well, I suppose you learn about behaviour and people as well, don't you?
That's right.
The behaviour of the people is also the pet subject of a fellow cyclist. PC Michael Shambling pedals the beat of the largest of the local estates.
In an estate like Stanhope, it's all contained within its own ring road, and it's probably the most built-up part of Ashford, but it's not really any different when you look at the types of people that live here.
Do you enjoy it? I mean, do you like the freedom of getting out there on a bike?
Yes, absolutely. I enjoy cycling. I have my own cycle at home.
Have you ever had to chase a thief or something on a bike?
No, not to date, but who knows?
It could be quite fun, though, couldn't it?
Probably for people watching, but for actually the people taking part in the chase, I think it'd probably be a bit hairy trying to use your radio and cycle at the same time.
There's something comforting about the sight of a bobby on a bike, unless you're a kid scrumping. Welcome to Apple World.
Have you ever wondered who's to blame for the fact that you can only buy, well, half a dozen different varieties of apple? The villains of the piece are two different markets. There's the common market and the supermarket. And even here in Kent, the Garden of England, they only grow those few varieties because everybody seems to want their apples standardised and shrink-wrapped. But there is a hero to this story too, and it's this place, the Brogdale Trust, just outside of Ashford. Here they keep more than 2,000 varieties of apples. There's more than 200 on this table, including this one. That's the Herring's Pippin. And this, the giant Lewis's Incomparable. Don't even think I could eat all of that. Oh, there's dozens. There's the Lobo, the Carmelin de Sonneville, the one that came over with the Romans, the Deccio, for you Latin scholars, and perhaps the most famous apple of all time, this one, the very apple that fell on Newton's head. Ooh, no wonder he discovered gravity.
And the farming men of Kent have discovered that in the contemporary Garden of England, you have to do more than just tend an apple or two. This is now high technology, high finance horticulture.
Mr. Fisher, the business going on inside there doesn't seem to be the image of the gentleman farmer in his orchards. I mean...
Well, no, we don't walk around with straw in our mouths these days. It's rather a high-tech business. We have to supply fruit that is suitable for supermarkets, and that's where we get our best price. The supermarkets now are taking a lot of the old varieties, which they call and label up in their stores as the traditional varieties. When we finish packing our own fruit in March, roughly, we then try to take other people's fruit here, which we store and look after for them. This fruit comes from the Southern Hemisphere, including South America, New Zealand and Australia, South Africa.
From just across the water in France, we import something altogether more powerful.
Science lesson and economics lesson. The science here is that we're converting French electricity, which is slightly different to ours, into British electricity. Very clever science. Economics lesson. When this place was built, the idea was that we'd be able to buy cheap, off-peak rate French electricity and they would buy ours. But it doesn't quite work like that.
Hello, Gillian, sir.
How much of ours do they get and how much of theirs do we get?
We get a lot of theirs at the moment, and they get some of ours now and again.
Now and again? That doesn't seem like very fair trade to me.
Well, it depends on the commercial side now. Since we've been privatised, commercially, you have to go for the cheapest price. At the moment, French are selling it cheaper.
How much electricity are we talking about here?
The place transmits 2,000 megawatts. That's an awful lot of power if you know about megawatts.
I don't. What does that mean? Try and give me some illustration.
That's about 40 towns the size of Ashford.
40 Ashfords?
40 Ashfords, yes.
So they all know they're getting French electricity. I mean, can they smell the garlic?
I think if they tasted garlic in their food recently, then there's a good chance.
Why is it here? I mean, why this site? Why Ashford chosen to have this huge thing?
Because we needed to get close to the French coast. We also didn't want to build new power lines, so there happened to be the existing national grid lines going across this site. So we chose here so we could break into the line without building an additional tower. And it's reasonably close to the coast so that we could get the cables down and across the sea.
For those yearning for the Kent of yore, there's always Eastwell Manor, a chance to spend a few quid on a few ravishing hours indulging in former glories. On the road into Ashford, you'll find, right next to each other, a triumvirate of trading giants. Unilever, Bachelors, and Mrs. Softly. She's a prominent purveyor of... In their semi, Mrs. Softly and her husband breed prime Anglo-Nubian goats.
So how many people knock at your door demanding goat's milk?
Well, quite a few. It's surprising, really. Not only for people, but we have them for orphan lambs.
For orphan lambs?
Orphan lambs.
Oh. Do these orphan lambs know that they're getting Nubian goat's milk?
I think some of them, because they grow very well, and puppies and kittens also. The sort of last acquisition, hedgehogs.
Hedgehogs? Hedgehogs bred on goat's milk?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
this is all too odd for me. Where do you store all of this?
In the freezer.
You've only got a normal-sized house.
Yes. We're not normal-sized people, probably. But, we've got a couple of freezers, and all the milk is frozen. Maybe you'd like to try that, and...
I'm very worried about these. There you go, 2 pints of silver top. Thank you, and thank you, even more. Thank you.
Back at the market in the centre of town, on a freezing Sunday morning, there's no milk of any kind on offer. But there is just about everything else. This is one of the largest weekly boot sales in Britain.
There's a copy of Bridge Over Troubled Water, I think, on every one of these stalls.
Oh, there you go.
That must be the biggest boot fair seller of all time.
It's a good seller, that.
Is it?
Yeah.
Always. Well, how come it always turns up then on every stall? People must buy it and sell it again.
They do.
See, buying and selling, trade. That's still the essence of a community for me.
I've read every one of them.
Yeah, really?
What a liar I am.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say you haven't read all of these. Do you actually collect? I mean, are you a professional book dealer?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I'm always looking for the special book, you know. The very first Shakespeare or something like that.
Oh, get out of it. Do you actually make money doing this, though?
Sometimes. Very, very, honestly, very seldom.
Really? So
No.
why'd you do it then?
It's fun. You meet people.
Mostly, of course, it's a club for families to clear out their junk and just possibly make a bob or two.
What brings you here on this kind of freezing morning to bring out your old gear?
Basically money.
Really? Can you actually make money?
Yes, quite a bit. You have to make money, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. I mean, does the taxman know about this?
No, shush.
I mean, do you really like... I've always thought that people come here just, you know, you buy some of their stuff and they buy some of yours and it all just goes around in circles.
No. We just put all our stuff out. 'Cause we pulled up in the van and people were in the van before we'd unloaded, you know.
Really?
Saying, can we have this, can we have that?
That's it, my time in Ashford's up, and now I'm faced with two options. Either I can cycle back to London, or I can catch the train. Oh, I'm not in any real hurry. I'll catch the train.